Welcome to the Lucidess podcast, where I explore everything because I believe everything is connected to everything else. I also explore everything because I believe in the infinite unbounded potential within each of us. And in order to understand the infinite, it's a good idea to start with everything. Everything we know, everything we think we know, and considering all that we don't know. I'm going to talk today about how moments in the present refine the future, but they do not define the future. And the reason I've come upon those words, or I should say the reason those words came up in me, was I was thinking about my latest foray with loss and how my current mental structure is that when there is loss, that the loss is somehow eternal, that whatever I've lost in this moment, it's also the loss of the past and the future. It feels like when there's a big loss in my life, I feel like everything is swept away and that there's no yesterday, no tomorrow. Sort of just washing away any foundation that I've built. It isn't bad. We could go into the Buddhist thing. I mean, I do agree with some of that. At the same time, it can go too far and leave me with complete, it can be debilitating. Let's put it that way. It can be debilitating. So what I'm talking about isn't any kind of healthy relationship with loss. It's like, it feels like utter destruction and destroy. So as I was thinking about my new relationship with loss, what I'm working toward is that when I allow loss to happen in the present moment, and I understand that it's happening in the present moment, loss is happening right here. And that loss has an impact, absolutely. It has an impact. And in a way, that loss is refining me. It doesn't define me, it's just refining me. And it's refining my future, meaning loss in the present moment. I believe if I have a healthy relationship with loss, then loss felt and measured and experienced in the present moment refines me, it changes me, it alters me. And in that refinement, I move into the future in a slightly different way. But the loss doesn't define my future, meaning let's say the loss is some kind of failure. I fail at doing something. There's a way to look at that, which I have many times, where if I fail at something in the present, then the fear and doubt arises that I will never do it in the future. It will never happen for me in the future. It can never happen. It will never happen. Like it's, the failure again is eternal. As opposed to if I fail at something in the present moment and I feel whatever I feel, maybe there's loss, maybe there's frustration, maybe there's shame, maybe, whatever that is, but it's just here. And in that experiencing, I'm refined. And then I move forward. I haven't defined the future, but I have refined it. I am refined. I am refining the future. And I liked that distinction a lot. As I said, words can be very helpful for me. They can help me understand a little bit better the experience, the truth of the experience, the experiential. And I am definitely someone who, although I do have very deep and intense experiential wisdom, I also have some pretty intense cognitive wisdom. And when the two find some resonance, a bit of magic happens for me. Meaning when I can understand my experience cognitively, this isn't necessary, 100% is not necessary. But at times when I do, it's like it helps me unravel untangle some of the mental constructs that are holding me back. So right now, for me, I would say when there's a loss in my life, it erases my future. I think the future is over. Like, it's just all over. So the loss is defining my future. I would like to have, and I'm working toward a relationship with loss, failure, any of those words, where it is happening in the present moment. Just right here, what is actually happening in this present moment. And as I stay present with it, I believe it will refine me, and that will refine my future. Meaning what happens in this present moment does affect the future some way, like ripples of a pond, but it doesn't define it. It doesn't define it. There's nothing set in stone. So instead of, I would say I've done two things in the past. When there's been loss and failure, I've either completely ignored it, shoved it away, did whatever I had to do, sort of not to deal with it. When that no longer became possible, then it began to define my future. Well, if that's what happened, then it means this: my future's over. Or the future that contained that possibility is over. And while that is true in some instances, like the loss of a person, like the truth of them being there in their physical body, that is now a refined part of the future. I don't believe it necessarily means the person isn't there. The end of a relationship, yes, that 100% means that relationship in that form is not a part of the future, but a refined form of that relationship may be part of the future, right? This is lucidus, this is the infinite potential of all things. A refined form of that relationship may be part of the future. Who am I to say? Right? Who am I? I 100%, I have decided I am really good at some things in the present moment. And people have commented on this. Like, I can detect a lot in the present moment. I am terrible at predicting the future. Terrible, awful. And there's a very big difference. I think there might be many of you out there who are like me, who are so experiential and sensory and attuned that we understand a lot in the present moment, a lot more than other people realize. And when we tell them, they're like, whoa, yeah, that's literally exactly how I was feeling or am feeling and what is going on, blah, blah, blah. But I have taken that and allowed myself to determine the future. I'm like, well, if this is happening now, it means da 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 da, and now I have defined the future. Okay, it doesn't happen that way, almost never. But what that does is when I'm in a space of loss in the moment, well then I da 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 da, and I define the future based on the loss I'm feeling in the moment. So, loss, failure, even success, I would put in all of it. What's happening in the present moment refines the future. It doesn't define the future. I mean, we have also seen many times when someone who is in a place of great success, something happens and suddenly they falter, plummet, and it's over. They never even attempt to rise back up. It is just done for them. And part of me right now wants to rationalize, well, but that may have been their journey. True enough. I guess my journey seems to be one where whatever is happening in the present moment is not the definition of the future. It's not the definition of the past. It is a refinement in the present moment for a yet to be refined future. And it's also refining the past. I believe the present moment is a ripple in a pond, in the center of a pond, and it ripples out in all directions like a sphere. I do not think time is linear. I can't even really wrap my head around it, but it would definitely be more like a sphere. It's not even that, but closer than a straight line. Let's stick with that. Let's just move from the 2D to the 3D before we try to add more. My heart is longing for this. This is not a cognitive wish. This is not an attempt to be clever or anything like that. It really is like my heart's deepest longing to be able to experience the moments of my life without all the bullshit that's been overlaid on it, with all the crap it has been told and taught, with all the manipulations and betrayals, just to experience the moment. I believe Jill Bolte Taylor, the Harvard neuroscientist who had the stroke, I believe she says it best when she talks about the awe. Like, there is our whole half of our brain is built. Sorry about that. An interruption by my supposedly waking up alarm, but I'm already awake. So I was talking about Jill Bolte Taylor because I believe she says it best. Half of our brain, the whole right hemisphere of our brain, is built for awe, A-W-E, awe. And she got to spend many, I will use the word glorious, years in the right hemisphere. And she still does seem to spend a lot of time there when I see interviews with her recently. I'm sure it wasn't all glorious, right? But she couldn't walk or talk or feed herself or, do some very ordinary things that are quite priceless as well. So it wasn't all roses, but it has transformed her life. And I don't want to have a stroke. Don't want to lose my left hemisphere. I so appreciate Jill Bolte Taylor's journey because it has allowed me to see how out of balance I am. And when I recently saw her talking, that was her whole thing, was just, you don't have to give up the left hemisphere. It's amazing. Like, it's awesome. It allows her to do all the research she does. It allows her to communicate her experience. It literally allows her to talk, to communicate her experience and her learning and her wisdom. But she talks about, how often do you spend equal time in the right hemisphere? In awe, just in awe of whatever is happening. And she talked about emotions. She said, she was talking about, this was apparently podcast companies are now going to insert chapters into my podcasts, and they are automatically going to link to podcasts that I mention. This is very nice. This is the kind of stuff I don't want to have to do. And so I am going to tell you where you can go. I recently heard Jill Bolte Taylor on the Diary of a CEO podcast. And it was like, we're going to say 3/4, maybe more of the way into it. It was way near the end. And I could be wrong. And she talked about emotions, and she said, I don't understand why everyone is trying to erase their emotions. She said, when I experience anger, I experience anger. Like, there is anger. And then when I experience grief, I experience grief. Like, there is grief. I mean, look at the amazingness of grief. When I experience joy, like, look at the amazingness of this joy. She said, when I experience these things, I just experience them. They just are happening. And that for me is so much closer to life than I currently feel. It's letting go. I don't even want to use that. I need to come up with new words. I need to come up with words I've never thought of, that no one else has ever thought of, because they've all been used, and it's about balance. It's about balance. It's about experiencing the moment and realizing it's not the only one. Well, it is. Oh my gosh, no wonder there's no words for this. What I want to say is that my heart is asking me to please reframe, restructure, rewire, the way that the mental construct, because right now the mental construct, I wouldn't say it's too strong, I would say it's miswired. And it doesn't allow the heart the space to enter the conversation. So my hope is that through these small little nuances, through these little words, they somehow open energetic doors for me. It's almost like they let my mind relax. And it says, okay, I'll untangle that. I'll untangle that little part. I'll untangle that because I can see that you have, it's valid. That the loss in this moment is refining us, that there is shift, there is change, things are happening. But yes, it's true, it doesn't define us. And my mind has to agree that we cannot predict the future. It has to agree on that because it knows how poorly it's done it. It has absolutely predicted the future and it didn't get it right. So I have my mind 100%. It's saying, no, sometimes I am right. Yeah, but sometimes, is it worth the sometimes? Is it worth the sometimes? I don't think that sometimes I've been right. Except in moments of immediacy where I have immediately known something and had to act in that moment, like almost for survival. Don't discount those. Don't discount those. But the one where the mind is planning out what's going to happen and wants you to plan out that future with it, for sure. Let's maybe refine that definition the mind has set for us. My hope for myself is that I can continue to relax the mental constructs that have gotten me here, have gotten my ancestors here. So I just want to stop and say I so appreciate that I am here and that my ancestors got where they got to for us to be here in this moment. And now I'm asking all of us who are concerned, involved, interested, to refine these present moments of my life in order to refine my future. In order to refine this. I see a gem in my eye. It's like I feel like I'm inside this beautiful gem that's having all these tiny little, it sounds, tiny little adjustments made to the angles on the outside so that the shimmer and the glistening and the reflection and the refraction, that it's just right. It's just right for me to express myself. It is the gem that is just right for me to express myself as a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere, as a physical body, a physical mind, and an energetic mind, and an energetic body, as an electromagnetic being and more and more. I would like room for my heart to live. My heart would like room for my heart to live. And learning loss and failure in the present moment is important to that. And honestly, that terrifies me. I feel like my world is going to come crumbling down and it will just be full of loss and failure so I can practice. You see, my mind is already planned it. It's like, okay, we've already decided that this is what you're asking for, and so this is how it has to happen. It has to happen like this. You are now going to have to go through a series of loss and failures until you finally learn it. But that's the mind, and that's the old way, and that's the past, and I have no idea all the other ways of learning, all the other ways of growing, all the other ways of refinement. There's infinite possibilities here, and I know of just a handful. And it's those possibilities that I wish to awaken and allow. I wish to awaken and allow. I hope for those of you who have these amazing minds and yet can be a bit torturous at times, I hope this helps you find ways to soften the mental construct that's holding you in the past, so that you can be in the present. And allow the future. Allow a future you've never seen. Allow a future you've never considered. Some of the most amazing things that have happened in my life, I never considered. I didn't go out and intentionally manifest them. They just happened. And I went, wow, awe, AWE, oh my God. Like, look at this happening. I never knew. It actually happened recently with someone in my life that I just love dearly. And I thought they weren't seeing something, about me. And when I had the courage to bring it up, they were like, oh no. And they showed me and they told me all the ways that they did see. And I just sat there. I was in awe. I was stunned, honestly. I was just like, wow. I was wrong. I was wrong. And I was so happy to be wrong. I was so happy. I guess that's another thing that comes to mind is allowing myself to be wrong can lead to joy. I keep thinking I have to get it right, and that's the path of joy. But in this moment, I just realized, no, being wrong a lot might actually lead me to joy. Being wrong a lot may actually lead me to joy. Because I would say the path to being right has helped me survive. It doesn't help me thrive. Right, wrong, knowing, very different things. Right, wrong, knowing. Being wrong could be my path to joy. Maybe not yours. Maybe you've always told yourself you're wrong. Anyway, I don't want to get into that mucky mess. Allowing yourself to experience loss and failure, success, anything in the present moment is the refinement of your jewel. And that will naturally ripple out into the sphere around you. And it doesn't define you. No one moment of any life ever defines that life. There are so many dimensions happening at once. It's impossible to say that moment right there defined your whole life. It's not possible, honestly, because I don't think there is one moment happening at once. If we could see all that's happening, it's so interwoven. I don't know that there's one thing you could even separate from anything else. There's so many vectors and lines and trajectories and weavings and colors and textures. There's so much going on. How could you say it was any one thing? There isn't one thing. So every moment is a refinement. There is no moment that defines, unless, I would say, we can make that so. Unless we make that so. If I allow one decision of my life to define me, I absolutely believe I could make that true. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the many, many, many moments of my life have all been refinements. And I continue to be refined. And I'm hoping my mind will allow that with less resistance. I think my mind is starting to see that it's actually not very good. Not at just predicting the future, but even defining what things mean. And so many times it hasn't been right. But I would say the times when it is, when I think about it now, the times when it is, it's because there's this cohesive narrative between my mind and my heart. That when the two of them speak together, there is wisdom. There is truth. There's clarity in the message. I know sometimes sometimes my heart tries to talk to me, and I don't know I just don't understand the message, don't know what is going on. And then a word will come through, and I'll be like, oh, I understand what you're trying to say. I understand what this is. The mind and the heart working together. For me right now, that's a beautiful thing. I know some people say you just live off from the heart. That's not where I am on my journey. Right now, I would love to find a balance between the two. I'd be so happy. My mind and heart were balanced. That would bring me a lot of joy. I feel like I could move through the world very, very well if I could bring those two in balance. If I had as much awe as I have discernment, I would be good company for myself and for others. So, blessings to you all. Best of luck.